So welcome to the HoneyOptics test bench. We're here to talk about PTZ cameras, and especially for 2023, with so much live streaming going on, and something that we're obviously going to continue to be doing for a long time. What is your best camera option, and especially what is your best PTZ camera option? Now, this is the HoneyOptics channel, so of course we're a little partial to the HoneyOptics cameras. So I just want to walk you through real quick, especially the features and the reasons why not only is a PTZ camera something well worth your choice, why specifically HoneyOptics and similar cameras like it are something very much worth considering. So you can kind of see behind me, I've got a couple of them set up on the test bench here. One of them you're seeing on the screen pointed at the back of my head at the current moment. And then this other one that I don't have plugged in so that I can show it to you. So PTZ cameras are exactly that, and they're known as that because of their features. They pan, they tilt, and they zoom. And so unlike your kind of traditional handheld cameras that probably have a zoom in and out control, you are responsible in those to move those back and forth, versus this, which has motors built into it so that it can do it. But not only that, because not only do you want them to be able to move and pan and tilt and all that, you want them to be able to do it in a really consistent and comfortable and smooth way, so that when you're watching the video, the pan looks really smooth, which is why good PTZ cameras have really good and very quiet electric motors in them that let them do the panning and the tilting. It's also why you really shouldn't ever force one to do it. You should always use its native controls and articulate it that way, just to make sure you don't accidentally run afoul of the motors and the gears that make this whole thing possible. So this is a very standard format for a PTZ camera. You'll find a lot of them that look like this. They have a nice large base on them, where there's little feet at the corners to keep them nice and stable. Most all of them, including our HoneyOptics here, has a standard tripod style mount on the bottom, and you will find any number of mounting solutions, wall brackets and things like that, that are designed to be compatible with that 1/4 inch size, and that lets you mount them wherever you want to mount them, and do all of that. On the front, there's not a whole lot to see on a lot of these. You've got some basic lights and status indicators on the front, but most of the magic that happens around the back. So PTZ cameras don't usually come with the ability to record. That's not what they're for. Their job is to generate a video signal and then send it downstream to your live streaming equipment or your computer or capture card or something like that. So this is what this is set up to do. The nice thing is you have a variety of ways to get the signal out if you want to. Some of them are fairly standard and you'll probably no doubt recognize. One being this HDMI, same thing you're going to find on your computer or your television, your Xbox, all that kind of stuff. Most people know how to deal with HDMI, and that's a good output. HDMI can be somewhat limited in how far you can go with it. You're not going to want to go 300 feet with an HDMI cable, but if you're within 50 to 75 feet between the camera and where you want the signal to go, HDMI is a really great option. These cameras are 4K cameras, which is quickly becoming the standard video format. It's been that way forever. I think certainly here now in 2023, 4K is the way to go. Even if some of your downstream stuff isn't there yet, the next generation of live streaming controllers from Blackmagic, YOLO, those kind of pieces are no doubt going to be 4K boxes if you haven't already invested in one already. So going ahead and getting a 4K box kind of keeps it future-proof. Make sure that everything and you're ready to go no matter what changes. Remember, this is where your video starts. You will only ever get as good a quality downstream as you start with. So starting with something like this that has that 4K, these are Sony, genuine Sony image sensors. Sony makes some of the best stuff out there. Just really starts you off with a really quality signal. So in this case, you've got your HDMI out. That does full 4K output, so that's an option for you. You, of course, have an Ethernet input because you can control this with a controller over your standard Ethernet internet network that you probably have in your space and venue. The nice thing about this is this Ethernet network also accepts PoE, power over Ethernet, or more specifically PoE+, because it's a little bigger device. And what does that mean? It means that that network cable can carry both the network signals, so you get this thing on your network and on the internet, but also your power signal, so you don't have to run it to a standard AC outlet like you would have to do if you didn't have that. So having PoE is great because it just means one less cable, and then you can really put this anywhere you can get that Ethernet cable too. So you've got the HDMI, you've got the Ethernet. The other option here is the SDI. If you're used to more consumer level products, this may not be something that is similar to as familiar to you. SDI uses kind of a coaxial cable design back like in the old school, like the cables, like when you got cable TV in your house. It's a cable similar to that, but with a different connector on it. And SDI is a professional video format standard. And the nice thing about SDI is that it can go much further distances safely than HDMI can. And you can buy rather inexpensive converter boxes that will actually convert an SDI signal into an HDMI signal at the other end. So if your streaming equipment is located far away from your camera, but it accepts HDMI input, there are any number of little converter boxes you can get, and then you've got a nice solid physical link between your camera and there. The SDI is limited, in this case, is SDI 3G, which is the most common standard. That is limited to 1080p or HD resolution. You're still going to be capturing 4K, and the camera is going to downsample that into 1080 to send out over the SDI cable. There's some other kind of legacy serial formats that, unless you have an existing, rather older, system set up for PTZ cameras, typically those were more used when these were used in like security camera applications. So you do have those serial options. Chances are you're not going to do it because most everybody, what they have is the newer stuff. There is another option available because this is a higher end PTZ camera, and that is the ability to run NDI. So NDI is a way of taking the video that is being captured in the camera. The camera actually has enough computing horsepower to actually encode that signal into something that can be actually delivered through your network interface over your traditional network that you probably already have. Not only that, our cameras also run the NDI HX, which one of the newer standards uses less bandwidth than the older standards. As you can imagine, especially things like 4K video take up a lot of bandwidth. So HX does some additional signal processing and compression that lets you run a full 4K or full HD signal using less bandwidth. If you're only going to run one, if you've got a gigabit network in your building and you're going to run one or two of these, either way you do it, you're probably going to be okay. If you're going to run two, or especially more than two, you really do want to be running in that HX mode. Well, what does that mean? It means that if you're running things over NDI, you can have a computer that's set up to do your live streaming, again, through software like OBS or vMix or one of those, and it can accept that NDI signal as a video source with no additional hardware, right? So with just your computer, that's got probably some pretty decent video graphics would be helpful, and these cameras, you can get a full switchable video setup with no additional hardware. Of course, having additional hardware is popular, having like buttons to press and the few extra bells and whistles that can come with running, an ATEM Mini or Pro or something like that, one of the Blackmagic products, is a popular way to do it as well. And of course, you can do that over your HDMI interface. So in 2023, where are we at when it comes to cameras? Well, I think we are definitely in the world of 4K. It's been coming, it's arrived. Most people at home are, any new TV today is probably going to be 4K. YouTube broadcasts in 4K. You can live stream in YouTube on 4K and some other platforms. So the limiting factor around that tends to be the hardware and the capabilities at the site generating the signal in the first place. So having that, given that these are not insignificant investments, any camera you buy that is a good quality camera for doing live streaming is not going to be an inexpensive investment. So stepping up to something that has those capabilities that you're going to be able to mount on the wall and use for years and years to come, because it's already built around the standards of both today and what's coming, specifically having the 4K and having the NDI HX is a really smart investment investment because most of the money you're going to spend traditionally when building a live streaming setup especially is going to be in the cameras anyway. And the things that tends to change the most and need to be upgraded the most is the downstream stuff. So start by providing the highest quality to your stream you can through something like our HoneyOptics 4K here, and really then enjoy the quality of what it is you're able to put out. All right, well, I hope you found this quick little video helpful, and I hope you also have a great day.